This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you as live as it can be from Honolulu, Hawaii, overlooking Greater Oahu. The lead stories are mobile app and the visually impaired and how it's changing lives. 1.28 million have cut the cord this first quarter. Amazon is paying employees to quit and drive for them. Lawsuits over the App Store, the Apple App Store, being a monopoly, according to the Supreme Court, can move forward. I want to welcome you to episode 1367 and the next to the last live video podcast from here in the studios in Honolulu. But I want to welcome you to Geek News Central for Monday, May 13th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You too can become an insider and support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. I want to give a warm welcome to all the listeners of the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for checking in. I want to welcome each and every one of you to the podcast. Thanks for being here. And of course, get over to geeknewscentral.com and let's get you subscribed. Subscribe to the show today. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And while you're on the website, sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter contains everything that I'm going to talk about during the show today and is delivered to your inbox immediately following the show. Of course, you can watch this show on your Apple TV, or you can listen on Blueberry.com. You can use your smart home device by using the keyword to launch that device and say, play the podcast, Geek News Central. We are live for one more show out of here at Hawaii at live.geeknewscentral.com, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Mixer. And of course, you can join our chat room. Our chat room is really slick. You can be part of our Mastodon chat server at geeknews.chat, or you can join our Slack channel. All you got to do is send me an email to geeknews@gmail.com if you want to be part of the Slack channel. You can also, of course, follow me on Twitter. That's real easy. At Geek News is the place to do. Of course, follow me on Facebook. Partner shows include the GNC Week in Review, the Gadget Professor, the Pro Gear Site, the New Media Show, and the Podcast Legend Show. And of course, you can pick up Ohana gear at cafepress.com/Ohana Store. I'm still fighting the head cold. I apologize. I tried not to cough on you, but it wanted to come out. Hey, this show has the longest running continuous sponsor of any podcast known to man, and that's our good friends at GoDaddy, GoDaddy.com. And you too can pick up great deals from GoDaddy. And this is, I'm going to ask you guys to step it up and think about picking up a product or service if you haven't already. Use one of my promo codes, whether it be a 30% off a new product purchase. And there are literally dozens of products over there that this code will be useful on. Or you can get to 99cent.com for a new domain or transferred for new customers only. Of course, $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain, or $1 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year. Again, for the first year, you get either economy hosting or managed WordPress hosting with a free domain. $12. $12 get you started with everything you need to build an online dynasty. Of course, you can get 1 month free trial. Go to a website builder, your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans by all using my codes available at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. I did want to talk to you guys just a little bit. You know, GoDaddy's been here since June. Think about that. June of 2005. So we're very, very, fast approaching 14 years of continuous sponsorship of the show. But I will admit, the last 2 months, we've been down a little bit. And really no reason for it, per se, that I can really lay a finger on. It's the sponsorship has always had highs and lows. And we're just a little bit of a valley at this point. So if you've got friends or family that you know that may be thinking about an online product or service, this is a time we'd ask you to reach out to them and let them know you have a great site that you're supporting or a great show that you're supporting, and consider using one of my promo codes on a product or service that you share with them. At the same point, talking about me on Facebook or on Twitter, sharing this show information, not necessarily about GoDaddy, but just sharing this show, telling your friends about this podcast. We're about ready to enter a brand new chapter. And in one hand, it's sad, and the other, it's exciting. But I think it's time, as we make the transition from Hawaii to Michigan, that there be a completely new regeneration of the show, some new ideas, some new ways to do the podcast. So I'm kind of excited about really kind of giving the show a complete overhaul as I get ready to move into the new digs. Now, we're going to stay with the same format for now, but I think what will happen is once the new studio is ready, and once I'm ready to go live with it, we will and do live video from the permanent new studio. That's when the new format will be implemented. But that said, your continued support of GoDaddy as a sponsor here will help me make those things happen. All right, it really will. Let's just be frank. Help keep the lights on, keep the bills paid, keeps the insurance, all the stuff that keeps everything moving here has been a big integral part of the show. So we want to thank GoDaddy for the long-time support. We want you to consider using one of their products and services, and definitely thanks them for being a long-time sponsor here of the show. If you notice a little bit tonight, the studio, if you're watching, looks different, maybe even sounds different. The studio is 80% packed. The only thing that's really left is the stuff that's required to do the live show. So we've got two monitors here, computer, the iMac in front of me, and then the TriCaster, but everything else in the studio is largely packed up in boxes. So Thursday, following the show on Thursday, the final teardown will begin of the studio here, and then I will switch to audio only for the following next 2 weeks before I leave Honolulu for Michigan. So while the shows will continue, one more show only live, and then it'll be video. It'll be audio only, probably for a month, maybe more. It depends if I get down to get the studio in Columbus set up. Maybe there'll be a video program down there, but the same programming will stay the same until we launch the new studio in Michigan and have that ready and dialed in. I've been putting some thought into that. Well, at the same time, I want to get all of you involved. We're going to need a new show theme opening. And here it's pretty simple, right? You just say, "This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. Coming to you live as it can be from Honolulu, Hawaii," right? That's kind of the intro that we do here, overlooking Greater Oahu. And then I get into the lead stories. But what should the new show theme opening be? Do we want to name the studio something? A new studio name? Maybe coming to you from such and such studio. And I have some ideas that I'm going to percolate out to you from now until, maybe starting on the first audio only show. I'll percolate some ideas of what I'm thinking about on calling the new studio. It's not necessarily super original, but I think it really matches. But just give you guys some hints, and hopefully by the time we're ready to launch the new studio, we'll have the new theme opening down and maybe tie in some elements of where I'm at. Should be kind of cool. So anyway, we'll talk about that as we get closer to the time spread. Now, if any of you want to do any history lookups, the town that the studio is going to be in Coldwater, Michigan. And the town that I grew up in, Quincy, is a very, very small one stoplight, blink your eye and you're through it town. It's about 6 or 7 miles away. And then I live south. I'll be living south of Coldwater in Allegansee Township, which is close to California Corners, close to an area they call Egypt. So I'm just kind of like percolating some information here. While this sounds kind of, really like local S. It is, but at the same time, I want to have to kind of tie some of this in for the potential ideas for the new studio thing, and in location and everything else. So, going to have some pictures for you soon. Don't want to show you boxes in the house, but after the show ends live here this week, as soon as the Matson trailer shows up and we start loading it, I'll be showing pictures of us loading the trailer. You guys all can be armchair quarterbacks on how I'm packing it out, and we'll take some wagers on how much of that stuff is going to get smashed between here and its destination, going from sea to rail to truck. So I'm sure plenty of you are going to have given me some ideas. So we'll be doing it on Facebook and Instagram and so forth. What else? So my head cold, saw the doc, told me come back this week if it wasn't gone. I'm about 85% there, but I made it longest today without, I think I made it about 14 or 15 hours before the onset hit in again. And, but I'm close. I'm close to whipping this thing. It's the worst head cold I think I've had in my life. I don't ever remember having anything like this, as nasty as it was. I was talking with my mom, and she had hurt herself earlier yesterday and needed to go to the emergency room. It was no big deal. It's just small laceration, superficial, but it looked worse than it was. And at least that's her explanation. And the nurse there was saying they were just jam-packed with people with the same type of thing. So something's going around. Maybe it just wasn't the hotel that made me sick, but boy, it surely has kicked my okoli, as they would say here in Hawaii. But anyway, packed all weekend. I'm going to tell you, Home Depot, if those of you are watching, if you can see, oh, what happened to the live show? You got to be kidding me. Did it quit? No, the Wowza server says, yes, it did. I wonder if these can be restarted. So anyway, what was I thinking here? Anyway, they sell these boxes, these TV boxes. Absolutely brilliant. And be frank, very brilliant on and they're so simple on what they've done here. It's really, to me, was pretty, $17 for a box. It just makes sense. It's very, very easy to pack a monitor. I'm very, very pleased with these boxes. Well worth the money. Didn't even realize something like that existed. Last time I was in Home Depot, they didn't have them. But very, very happy that I was able to get my hands on some. So it looks like Facebook went offline. Well, it really irks me when that happens. I wonder if I can reset the transcoder. I wonder how much stuff will break in the meantime. So New Media Show, Twitch, Mixer. Let's just try it and see what happens. And maybe we can get stuff back online. But anyway, so these boxes are brilliant, really happy. Again, a little bit sad as I packed the studio up. End of an era, really, for the show. And we'll see what happens as we get ready to make the move here. Lots of, as you can obviously see, a lot of things happening here in the household as well, in anticipation of this move. So again, we'll keep you guys advised on everything, and as we move to the next stage here. All right, so lots of stuff to talk about on the news today, tech news. And I want to start off by talking a little bit about mobile apps and how they have given the blind and visually impaired a new sense of freedom. This is very encouraging. And I think we can all appreciate, anyone that's vision impaired, how difficult life can be, especially if you become blind later in life and having to adapt and change. I'm not saying it's easy for people that are born blind, not saying that at all. But this article implies and says that ask anyone who was around before smartphones, they'll tell you life was different for the vision impaired. the gal that they're talking to went blind 8 years ago. And she says, I was at the mercy of folks and their schedule to help me with simple tasks like grocery shopping, traveling, and reading documents, and needed assistance from other people to go about her day. And she uses today, for example, Microsoft Seeing AI. It's a talking camera app to help her read her own mail and documents. She finds it convenient and accurate enough that she doesn't have to rely on others. She says, it gives me a sense of privacy to be able to sort and read my own mail without assistance from family or friends. If you think about that, I think we all can be very aware of, just letting someone come in and, especially a non-family member, and give them access to mail could be a little bit embarrassing, right? She says, technology has been a game changer. We can do virtually anything someone sighted can do using our smartphone. And after she attended the Braille Institute in Los Angeles as a student, she started volunteering more and participating in the Institute's technology internship program. And she now has a lead tech instructor position that she's held for 4 years. And she says some of the apps that just have changed my life is, she says, Instacart. It simplifies grocery shopping. And Money Reader helps her identify different monetary denominations without assistance. And here in Honolulu at the airport, they hire visually impaired people to work at the convenience stores that sell water and candy and that type of stuff. And when you give them cash, most of them have a little bill reader that they can slide the corner of the bill and it'll tell the person how much the bill is. And I actually got to asking one of them one time, I said, how many people actually try to cheat you? And they said more people than you would imagine. But the bill reader really allows them not to be taken advantage of. But anyway, going back to the story, she says she used SmartRide to navigate public transportation, but otherwise her go-to apps are Uber and Lyft. She said, when I'm ready to ride, I just call Uber or Lyft and the car just shows up wherever I'm standing. I also don't have to pay the driver since payment happens through the apps. It's much easier. And then she uses an app called the Be My Eyes app, connects seeing volunteers and users who need assistance with a video call. The live call can help its users with checking expiration dates on food, where to point their camera, distinguish colors, reading instructions, and more. So the volunteer lends their eyes to the vision impaired person. They take a picture of a shirt and say, what color is the shirt? And you go back and say, well, it's off gray, partially blue, or the expiration is on 1/27/2019, or the HDMI 2 button is the top right button. It's all about helping people distinguish things that they have difficulty doing because there's really no way to without having someone visually able to do that. So there's a lot more stuff coming. Of course, voice commands and apps are making things easier. Braille in cars also is happening, which is kind of interesting. The rideshare apps and public transportation of the future could hold more possibility. Ford has put stuff together called a Braille device for car windows. It can help the blind and vision impaired see the world. Field of view use vibrations on the vehicle's windows to show what's outside. The prototype converts an image from the built-in external facing camera and converts the image to grayscale. The shades of gray are translated vibrations at varying intensity. And if a person touches the window, it can be felt like Braille. So a long ways to go, but things are getting a lot more easier for those that are vision impaired. So I think this is really exciting and life-changing for them. So I wanted to share that with you all tonight. There's an article that was up on CNET. At the same time, I think we all realize that it's basically time is a change in here, and that we are at a point where people are cutting the cord at a higher rate. And with 2019's first quarter earnings in the books, data indicates that cord cutting continues to heat up, with 1.28 million American consumers ditching traditional cable TV. Both Charter and Comcast saw their pay TV subscribers accelerate this quarter. Charter lost a net of 145,000, up from 11,000 1 year ago, and Comcast lost 121,000 video subscribers, up from 96,000 a year ago. But it was DirecTV and Dish Network that sustained the most damage. Now, where my sister lives, DirecTV and Dish Network are the only really options. There is no cable where they are. So if DirecTV and Dish Network get in trouble, rural America will be the destination that will be hurt the most. Because if those networks can't survive, then because of broadband limitations in rural America, it could be people back to be using HD antennas. But I don't think that's the case at this point. But AT&T's total net video losses during the quarter was 627,000. A net loss of 544,000 traditional video subscribers and 83,000 streaming TV subscribers. Now, Dish lost approximately 266,000 satellite subscriber number that was only partially offset by 7,000 added Sling TV subscribers. And the irony here is that AT&T actually saw cord-cutting threats coming and tried to get out ahead of it, offering a streaming service, but then paid so much for it that they had to add a whole bunch of cost, which caused people to leave in droves. So we'll see what happens to the traditional television networks. But as someone, here I am getting ready to really regress to rural America. I'm going to be spending a lot of time at my office because that's where the high-speed internet's going to be. To me, I'm just like, don't quite know what I'm going to do yet. I'm actually considering having the wireless provider that my sister has, calling them out and adding a second wireless connection to the tower just so that I can have a dedicated pipe that I'm not sharing with my niece and nephews to be able to get as much work done as I can when I'm remote, when I'm in this remote location. It's just not going to cut it to do it wirelessly and be able to survive the bandwidth bill. So that's something I'm looking at. So, it's for me, I'll be talking a lot about this more on the realities of, having to live this on a day in and day out basis where I can have great internet speed during the day and then go back to my living quarters in the evening and, having been spoiled here now with a 1 gig connection and going down to something like 6, 7, 8. If I'm lucky, maybe 15. We'll see. But I'm going to be doing lots of exploration on options. I can tell you that. But I want to talk a little bit about my lead story today and it really is one of the top stories I feel today, is Amazon is offering employees a new incentive here. It's offering them a $10K in 3 months, offering them employees $10,000 and 3 months pay, severance pay, to start their own delivery business. So with Amazon planning to reduce Prime shipping down to 1 day, the company has said that it's expanding its delivery service partner program, which now includes a new incentive that encourages existing Amazon employees to start their own package delivery company. Now, here's something I read that was kind of interesting that I thought was like, made me go, just a little bit. So let's do the math here. So last year, Amazon said that people were able to start their own delivery business with only $10K. And at the time, military veterans were able to get that $10K reimbursed, as Amazon was investing millions into the program that funded their startup costs. They also helped them with leasing, insurance, and a variety of other things that they would need to be a Prime delivery person or business. So before the launch of the partner program, Amazon relied on Amazon Flex crowdsourced workforce. And I know people that do this. Folks that drive in Vegas and do this and pay their bills using their own vehicles, using this crowdsourced workforce. And they help deliver packages to help reduce costs. But these gig workers are often face too much uncertainty with regard to their pay because of things like fluctuating gas prices that cut into profits, lack of insurance, and general logistical challenges that come from trying to deliver packages from a smaller, unbranded personal vehicle. Now, this is where I scratch my head a little bit. Delivery partners could earn as much as $300,000 in annual profit by growing their fleet to 40 vehicles. So they're saying you can have, if you have 40 vehicles, you can make $300,000 in annual profit. That doesn't seem like a big margin. If you have 40 employees and you're only going to earn $300,000 in annual profit, that's, to me, is just a little bit nuts. So if we take that number, 300,000, and we divide that by 40, that means one vehicle could potentially earn $7,500 a year. All right. So if one vehicle earns $7,500 a year, and you divide that by 12, that's $625 a month. So there's obviously more to this, because you have the cost of the lease, the cost of the gas, the cost of the driver. If I'm going to run a business and one employee, after expenses, according to their system, only earns me $625 a month, that's horrendous, in my opinion. If your profit margin is only $625 per vehicle, including the employee, which in most states you have to pay for benefits and everything else, and your margin, your profit margin is only $625 on a vehicle, that's 2 flat tires and a transmission away from bankruptcy. I'm doubtful here. I really would like to see, and if anyone has dug into this at all, I'd like to know what they're claiming a single driver can make. Because if you can make money as a single driver with your own vehicle and pay your bills, so what does that mean on overhead? So what do you have to pay someone to drive that you would trust with literally tens of thousands of dollars in the back of the vehicle of goods? This is probably not a minimum wage employee. So I just need to see the math on this a little bit better. But if you're going to, to me, it seems like the margin's very small. Any business owners, do you think a $625 profit margin per vehicle per employee makes a lot of sense? But they're talking about 40. If you have 40 vehicles, you get a little bit of economy of scale there, have to set up payroll, you're definitely have to provide health care. Apparently, since the program launched in 2018, more than 200 small businesses have hired thousands of local drivers. And what they're really trying to do here is to reduce its reliance on USPS, UPS, and FedEx. Now, having a family who has driven and done deliveries, my mom, for years and years and years, she drove, basically a similar type of, maybe a little bit bigger van than a prime van, which is basically a panel van. Those vehicles use a lot of gas. Your daily gas bill for a vehicle like that could be, depending on how many miles you have, you got to go to the distribution place, pick stuff up, you got to drive back with this load. If you're not close to a distribution center, you got an hour here, hour there, maybe 2 hours to the distribution center, 2 hours back to your delivery area, 5-6 hours on the road. It's probably $100 worth of gas or $70 worth of gas plus your time. So let's say you're working 8-10 hours a day, maybe 12, and you're delivering 5-6 days a week. I don't know. That's almost sounds like living hell to me, but how many packages do you have to deliver to survive? Look at the normal UPS driver. Those guys hustle. They do a lot of stops. Now, if this system is automated to show, it gives you a route. In other words, if you have an app for that, where you get your load out and it tracks and gives you the most economical, feasible route to make these deliveries, that's cool. And if you have an area that you work, it's probably cool too, but you have to learn an area. In the beginning, there's going to be several months of uptick of learning apartment buildings, learning businesses, learning where the delivery locations are. This does not come without pain. If anyone in this audience has got anybody that's doing this, please, 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 I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your, what the profit margin is. And I guess also at the same point, does this have to be in a metro area for density? Are people that are listening to the show, do you see those blue Amazon vans coming into rural America, or do they come to mostly the burbs? Where do you see these vehicles being used to deliver stuff? It's curious. I'm always looking for investments, but boy, I don't know, folks, if this is one that makes sense to me. It just seems when the vehicle is brand new, there's probably no real risk. And if it's on a lease, well, maybe it's not as bad, but lease vehicles have limited mileage. If you go over the mileage, you pay for that. So these vehicles would be very, very high mileage, probably 100,000 miles a year. You would think they'd be putting on them. So, yeah, I'm curious about this. I really, really am. So if any of you have any other details, I've heard of anyone that's done this, love to hear from you. geeknews@gmail.com. Moving on here. And one last story from Amazon. Oh, so Dan says, Amazon takes longer to ship here as of 2019. Most all packages get transferred to USPS for delivery instead of UPS. So no next day delivery here. Yeah, Dan, it's been the same here in Hawaii for a while. Our stuff is now 1 to 2 days longer in some items and 3 to 5. So even when I was in Columbus, I could not get next day delivery in Columbus, and they have a warehouse in Columbus. So I was kind of surprised about that. All right, so let's talk about Amazon and automation. We talked about how Amazon treated pregnant women and how they're having problems. Well, Amazon might start using robots to box your orders, and they're deploying these across some locations. These robots can build 600 to 700 custom boxes per hour, which is 4 to 5 times faster than a human. And with the machine sold for $1 million, Amazon could recover the cost in 2 years with potentially 1,300 employee cut. So automation is going to affect Amazon fulfillment workers. Probably not the people that pull stuff off the shelves. They haven't got that figured out yet. You still need a man, but that's where a lot of their problems come in. So anyway, they're using boxing machines. So see, when there's a video related to this article that I think you guys will find pretty amazing to see how it does it. When I was packing this house up, man, I could have used a boxing machine. I really could have. I need to take a shot of H2O here so I don't cough on you more. Of course, I spilled half of it down my shirt. Didn't help. All right, Apple is not going to be happy. Actually, the title of this from the Register says, Apple won't be happy. U.S. Supremes give green light to massive lawsuit over App Store prices. Legal action over 30% cut Apple takes from software sales are allowed to continue, but the 5-4 decision against Apple, which the swing vote was Justice. Who was it? It's the justice that's made who they thought was going to be conservative, but is swinging a lot of liberal votes. I can't remember what his name is, but anyway, the 5-4 decision against Apple has huge implications of not just a tech giant whose share prices fell 6% on the news, but also Google, which runs a similar system. The 4 iPhone owners who kicked off the legal battle say they have to pay higher prices for apps and app services because Apple is abusing its monopoly on apps on the iOS platform to impose unreasonable conditions on application developers. They say Apple charges a 30% commission on app sales, and while it allows developers to set their own prices, requires that price end in 99 cents. The money is pure profit. The lawsuit contends because there are negligible additional costs to Apple to adding a new app to its store. Critically, consumers pay Apple, and the biz takes its cut before sending the remainder of the money to the developer. And again, this has been argued all the way to the Supreme Court that the entire lawsuit is invalid, and they wanted it thrown out because only app developers should be able to sue it for what it charges them, especially since they're able to pass the cost on to the consumers. The only legal beef should be allowed between Apple and the app developers. Well, Apple relied on a Supreme Court precedent from 1977, but the Supremes this time around, with the dissent insisting that the Illinois brick case holds because it's explicitly rejected pass-on theory. Anyway, blah, 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 bunch of legal stuff. But anyway, this case is going to be able to be heard by the Supreme Court. So, well, no, the Supreme Court said, the Supreme Court said the lawsuit can happen. So we'll see where this goes. If you think about it, there would be no App Store without Apple and the iPhone. There would be no Google Play Store without the Android. So is this within their right? Where do you guys fall on this one? I understand the disgruntlement. Spotify's got going after them in the EU over the same exact, they're saying, hey, you're taking too much of a cut. But without additional Apple iPhone sales, and additional Apple iPhone development, and additional Apple iPhone memory, power processing, all the stuff that goes into having a great mobile experience. Without that, none of this would exist or advance, or companies wouldn't be able to build cool apps to do cool things. So the consumer is saying, because of this monopoly, we're paying too much. And you can't install an app unless it's in the App Store. We want to be able to essentially be able to get apps somewhere else and not have to pay the gatekeeper. Well, what this will end up happening is things will get a lot more expensive from a licensing standpoint. Because Apple will just flip the script. They'll say, okay, you want to sell apps on another platform? Well, here's your licensing fee to be on our platform every year. Give us $25,000, and yep, you can license to be on the platform. I'm sure there's Apple's not stupid on this. We'll see what happens, but love to hear you guys' thought on this. geeknews@gmail.com. Well, SpaceX is going to launch 60 satellites for the Starlink mega constellation soon. And this is what it looks like. Now, if you remember, for those of you that are watching, remember the Tesla car it didn't take up much room in the fairing. Very, very little amount of room. Well, Elon Musk did a tweet where he showed the car and the fairing half empty and these mini satellites. So he's got 60 satellites. And the scale here is, I'm looking at these things, I'm thinking, all right, those look kind of small. But in the end, how big are they when they pop out and unfold? And I'd really like to see more. I'd like to see the tech on this. So I'm going to be looking for some videos that show the actual size of one of the things. But the technology on how to eject these Starlink satellites, to me, is beyond fascinating. It's almost like, wow, I wish I had a career working on these things. It really does trip my trigger quite a little bit. Well, here, let me give it the those of you that are watching, let's see if I can load this. So here is the picture of the fairing loaded as compared to the car in it. So the car took up a minuscule amount of space in the scheme of things. So here's it fully loaded with this 60 microsatellites. And then there's the car. So all I can say is, wow. They're much bigger than what you think they will be. Because you really can't get the right scale here. When it comes to, I'm just telling you folks, you got to come to this article and you got to look at this and then compare the scale of the satellites, the 60 satellites crammed inside this fairing, as to the car and the little podium it sat on, and it was taking up literally no space. So anyway, I think this is going to be awesome, and it's going to be in a Falcon Fire. Very, very, very cool. We'll see what happens here on the launch of this thing, but next week Tuesday, looks like they're ready to go. So they have a static fire on Monday, and he said that he says much will likely go wrong on first mission. Also, 6 more launches of 60 satellites needed for minor coverage, 12 for moderate. So they've got to put up 360 satellites to get moderate coverage, or my God, no, 6 more launches of 60, 360 and 720 for moderate coverage. So a significant number of launches to make this happen. These are all going to be low orbit too. So we're going to have to see what happens here. It's exciting stuff. The NASA commemorates the 50th anniversary of the moon landing with an audio series. So they've got that out. Of course, we're a ways away from here yet. July 20th marks the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. But lots of stuff being planned. Being reported that loyalty programs are a honeypot for hackers. This is a report that has been put up by the New York Times. It says using a loyalty app that could save you a few dollars at your favorite restaurant or clothing store may seem harmless, but that's exactly what hackers are counting on. According to this report, $1 billion is lost each year to online loyalty programs related crime. One security group estimates that in addition to such crimes doubled from 2007 to 2018. And according to the report, loyalty programs can read valuable personal information like favorite foods, favorite food or flavor, shopping locations, where you're hungry or thirsty, how you pay for items, billing details, and contact information. The programs are attractive to hackers since they are so tailored to personalized customer experience. Data stolen in breaches typically get sold in the black markets where criminals use it for fraud and identity theft. So I don't think I've used any loyalty. Well, I use loyalty programs at grocery stores. I signed up for a loyalty program when I was in Maryland, and then they said, "Oh, we've already registered your number," and I'm like, "How's that possible? I've never shopped here before." Turns out that the chain was part of Kroger, and I had a Kroger loyalty road from years ago, but I couldn't use the same phone number for both. It was kind of weird. You kind of learn one way or another who owns something and who doesn't. But anyway here, so be careful of those loyalty programs, folks. What happened to this page? Oh, there's a good article talking about the difference between proxy and VPNs. So if you think, oh, I need a proxy or I need a VPN, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. And link will be up in the show notes on what's the difference and which you should use. I've used both over the years. And matter of fact, NordVPN was not working out so well for me recently, and I had to try a different one, and very, very happy with that, but a much steeper price point of like $13 a month. And I guess maybe you get what you pay for, because Nord was a one-time lifetime payment, or one time every 3 years or something, but it wasn't doing so well. Maybe I'll talk about that at a later date and give you some more details. All four major wireless carriers are hit with lawsuit over sharing selling location data. We talked a little bit about this on the last show, but now all four have gotten whacked on this class action lawsuit, where each of us will probably get about 15 cents when they're all done. Okay. Facebook has sued an app maker, said it made millions misusing Facebook user data. Of course, Facebook is facing a huge fine here in America. And they think now that Facebook is being more proactive and going after people which are using its user data and basically in ways that they're not supposed to. Why they have access to it in the first place is a question I want to know. But a company out of Korea called RankWave apparently failed to comply with Facebook's request of proof of RankWave's compliance with Facebook policies, including an audit. Facebook alleges that their actions prohibited Facebook's policies, and they breached the contract by violating Facebook policies in California law. RankWave has developed and operated apps on Facebook since 2010 and used Facebook data associated with RankWave apps to create and sell advertising and marketing analytics and models, which violated Facebook's policy and terms. They refused to respond. Recently, RankWave was sold for 9.8, or they were acquired by a company called CJ and E&M, a Korean entertainment company, and valued at $9,800,000. So Facebook has sued them for the amount of $9,800,000, and they demand deletion of data and lots of answers. So they feel Facebook is cracking down on this, even though they've been using their service since 2010, collecting this data because they're worried that they've got another case, kind of like they're already facing with the data that was shared during political campaigns. So we'll see. Sprint, boy, oh boy, the company that barely is hanging on. And of course, Sprint and T-Mobile have been playing footsies here for about a year. And the deal valued at $26 billion as it's winding its through regulatory review. But apparently, Sprint is getting a little bit worried. And Sprint is making very clear to investors how dire the situation has become. And of course, the DOJ has to approve this deal. If it doesn't happen, this is a problem. They're probably going to go out. They're not going to survive, and we'll lose the carrier as it is anyway. They lost another 189,000 subscribers in the last quarter, and a lot more than what analysts expected. But I've got a lot of history about Sprint, to be quite frank. It goes all the way back to some early days when Sprint was sold as a Dial One service. Sprint, MCI, those names familiar? So now it's a mobile company struggling. So time will tell if this deal gets through, but they're pretty desperate. In Japan, they began testing the world's fastest bullet train that could enter service around 2030. So it's capable, it's called the Alpha X. It's capable of reaching 400 kilometers per hour, or 249 miles per hour. It's pretty incredible looking. It really is. It's got a sleek design. The train's going under 3 years of testing, and those test runs will happen at midnight twice each week on tracks between Omori and Sendai. The train is built by Kawasaki Heavy Industries and Hitachi, has 10 cars and a 72-foot long aerodynamic nose, and will be tested with a 52-foot long nose as well. And it will use both roof-mounted air brakes and magnetic plates underneath for braking. And so Shinkansen is going to have another model in the N700S in 2020 that will max out at 300 kilometers per hour. So the Japanese continue to rocket in high-speed trains, and a very proud accomplishment for them. So time will tell when this gets actually to market. Facebook has announced also that they're going to raise pay for thousands of contract workers, including content moderators. So they say minimum wage is not enough. No kidding. So they're going to raise the wages. What are they going to raise in Silicon Valley? Facebook is raising its minimum wage for contract workers to $20 an hour in the Bay Area, New York City and Washington at 18, and also in Seattle. Content moderators will get more. Those in San Francisco, New York, and DC will now make $22 per hour. Seattle-based moderators will receive a minimum of $20 an hour. In other metro areas where content moderators like Phoenix, the minimum will be $18 an hour, the company said. So a lot of these folks that are working in these call centers are not degree holders. So this is, I'm sure, going to be a very nice increase for those folks. Now, they were paying as much as $15 an hour in some areas, and they say their employees can't make it on that. San Francisco, 22. That doesn't even make you enough. You have to commute like 500 miles at $22 an hour to work in San Francisco. Let's be frank. In the Bay Area, why they even have call centers there to begin with is ridiculous. Apple has released iOS 12.3 with new TV app and channel features. The third major update to iOS 12 operating system, the first launch in September, comes a month over the release of iOS 12.2. And again, this update is available on all eligible devices. And so it's got the Apple TV. Interesting. We're going to have to check that out. Yes, we are. And the Apple News service, an update changes to that. So our new TV app doesn't say Apple TV. And the overall TV app, Watch Now and Up Next, are still front and center for keeping track. Hey, by the way, did you watch episode 5 of Game of Thrones? I won't spoil it for anyone that hasn't watched it yet. Wow. Wow. I knew it. That's all I'm going to say. I knew it. So the 2-hour finale this next Sunday should be a whopper. I'm going to take a break from packing and make sure to sit down and watch it. We've been streaming it here. And I tell you, HBO is stepping up their game. They looks like they're going to have a pretty good lineup of stuff. We may keep the HBO subscription afterwards. So it'll be a little bit challenging. I've got to figure out if I'm going to be able to use it in Michigan and they're going to be able to use it here without being penalized. But time will tell. Yeah, Twitter bug disclosed some users' location data to an unnamed partner. Apparently, Twitter has fixed the bug, and I guess they're going to be letting people know. But if you had your location data turned on one account, but you had multiple accounts, which like I do, it could have, that setting may not have held. So anyway, they're trying to figure out what's going on, but location data leaks. I guess it's better than anything else, but Apple TV app and AirPlay 2 is rolling out to all 2019 Samsung smart TVs. This is interesting. So they're rolling out a new firmware update and bringing Apple TV and the smart TV and basically an AirPlay to Samsung televisions. It's very, very curious to me. From Samsung, they said, for the last decade, Samsung has been at the forefront of offering the broadest selection of content available to consumers on our smart TV platform. As the first TV manufacturer to integrate the Apple TV app on smart TV platforms, Samsung continues to offer our customers incredible value and access to the Apple TV app experience on the largest screen available today. Since the Apple TV app is completely integrated into the Samsung Smart TV platform, customers can just select the Apple TV icon to gain access to their entire collection of iTunes movies and television show. The app also lets you freely browse the iTunes store with over 100,000 titles and podcasts, including 4K HDR. And you can watch this show on your Apple TV. So very, very cool for those of you that have a 2019 Samsung Smart TV. One thing I've learned about Samsung Smart TVs, they don't upgrade well over time. Whereas my Sony so far with Android TV or whatever that equivalent is, or Chrome TV or whatever they're calling it today, I keep getting updates on it. Whereas my Samsung Smart TV that's in my bedroom, it's dumb as a box of rocks at this point. So maybe Samsung's getting better. Who knows? Time will tell. Apple is announcing support for Apple Pay with an NFC sticker. And they partnered with Bird Scooters. Okay, I'm going to be riding a scooter recently. No. But this NFC sticker triggers Apple Pay for payment without having an app installed. So imagine tapping your phone on a scooter or a parking meter and paying for it without signing up or downloading the app first. So that's kind of cool. All right, I could see a parking meter. That would be nice. I always hate having to dig change out, don't you guys? All right, over at makeuseof.com, your iPhone could save your life. 6 emergency features the iPhone offers. We all know about emergency SOS, medical ID, there's a compass, there's voice memos in iCloud, Google Maps being used offline, Find My Friends. So lots of stuff here you can do with your iPhone to protect yourself when you're out and about. There's also 8 useful Google tools and apps that you may have overlooked. Things like Google Shopping, Google Jamboard, Google Sites, Google Expeditions, Google Trusted Contacts, Google Domains. What is Google Trusted Contacts? Google Trusted Contacts is a safety app using which you can keep tabs on your loved one's whereabouts. You can share your location with trusted contacts in real time and request theirs. Users have the option to temporarily or permanently give access to their location and revoke whenever they want to. On the app, people can post updates too while they're in transit to inform others about their status. What's more, there's an emergency feature which automatically shares your location with your trusted contacts if you don't respond to a request in a specific time period. Okay, cool. Of course, Google Domains, Google Tilt Brush. This is a paint app. Google One. What is that? It's a cloud storage subscription. So they've overhauled that recently. But anyway, these are some things that you may not be aware of from Google tools and apps that you may not be used to using. Now, how to choose the right portable SSD? Well, the top speed costs top dollars, but you may not need the fastest drives. And there's a lot of varieties out there. And, give you an example of one. Do I have it laying here? And I packed it up already. I've got an SSD on a stick. It's a little USB stick. It's really, really fast. And then I've got some Samsung drives that are pretty fast, but not as fast as a stick. So there's a variety of different options for you here. It depends on the need for speed. And if you're in business and you're trying to look for the fastest connection, but we know that USB-C ports with 3.1 Gen 1 or Gen 2, or even USB-C ports with Thunderbolt 3 support speeds varying in 5, 10, or 40 gigs per second. But that doesn't always mean that the device that you plug into it can actually handle it. So if you compare the Samsung T5 to the Samsung X5 to the Intel 60P, which come with prices of, and these are all 1 terabyte USB-C SSD specs, with 177, 449, and 115, the Samsung X5 is by far the fastest, supporting Thunderbolt 3 up to 40 gigs, but you pay the price. Whereas the Intel 660p with 1 terabyte is only $115, but it supports USB 3.1 Gen 2 up to 10 gigs. So, whereas the Samsung T5 is in the middle price range of $177, and it's USB 3.1, it's only up to 10 gigs. So, you just have to kind of price these things out and look at the different performance across the board and what you're willing to spend. So, I thought I would share that with you and have that up in the share notes tonight, so that if you are looking for a portable SSD, this is an option for you. Over on the Financial Times at FT.com, they're reporting about WhatsApp basically being hacked by an Israeli spyware. So a vulnerability in WhatsApp has allowed attackers to inject commercial Israeli spyware onto phones, the company and a spyware technology dealer said. WhatsApp, which is used by 1.5 billion people worldwide, discovered in early May that attackers were able to install surveillance software to both iPhones and Android phones by ringing up targets using the app's phone call function. The malicious code developed by the secretive Israeli company NSO Group could be transmitted even if the users did not answer their phones, and the calls often disappeared from call logs. WhatsApp is too early into its own investigation of the vulnerability to estimate how many phones were targeted using the method, But as of late Sunday, as WhatsApp's engineers raced to close the loophole, a UK-based human rights lawyer's phone was targeted using the same method. Researchers at the University of Toronto Citizen Lab said they believe that the spyware attack on Sunday was linked to the same vulnerability that WhatsApp was trying to patch. And NSO's flagship product is called Pegasus, a program that can turn on a phone's microphone and camera, trawl through emails and messages, and collect location data. So NSO advertises its product to Middle Eastern and Western intelligence agencies, purportedly. It says Pegasus is intended for governments to fight terrorism, and they've been recently valued at $1 billion for a leveraged buyout by a UK private equity fund. So WhatsApp disclosed the issue to the U.S. Department of Justice last week. NSO said it's carefully vetted customers investigating any abuse. About the WhatsApp attack, NSO said it was investigating the issue. The UK lawyer who declined to be identified has helped a group of Mexican journalists and government critics and a Saudi dissident, oh my goodness, another Saudi dissident that could be getting targeted here, sue NSO in Israel, alleging that the company shares liability for any abuse of its software by clients. So, wow. Nothing secure, folks. That's what it is, very apparent. Final article. Uber employees are freaking out a little bit. Uber CEO warns in a staff email, tough public market could last months. He acknowledged Uber's rocky trading debut, while at the same time saying the tech giants Facebook and Amazon also face difficulties after listing. He said, obviously, our stock did not trade well as we'd hoped post-IPO. It's another tough day in the market. Well, yeah, the Chinese trade wars isn't helping. And so what is it down to? San Francisco base sold 180 million shares at $45 a piece, and it's never traded above the price. Ending the day, it's down 7.6 at 41.57, and today it closed at 37.08. So still, many billionaires were made over there at Uber. All right, I've got some emails that have come in. And actually, I've got let me go to Slack. Now, I've got just so you guys know, since the studio is largely tore down, I can't play audio live. But I've got an audio comment that has come in from Andrew. And basically, it's Apple versus Netflix. And I'm going to inject Andrew's recording into the show here. I want to thank Andrew for his thoughts on this. And thank you for sending the file over. I apologize I can't play it live and give live running commentary here. But it's some good thoughts about the commentary from the show. Also, I've got an email that came in from Manuel. He said, hey, Todd, was listening to your newest podcast, number 1366, and you asked about the Facebook breakup. He said, it would be a good thing. Let's not forget the U.S. government has set up the terrain to grow and also kill monopolies over and again in the last 150 years. This is true. You look at, we broke up Ma Bell, all that. Now it's time for Facebook to receive the guillotine. Nowhere else is this better explained than in the book called The Master Switch, written by Tim Wu. Tim Wu explains how different information empires were helped and then killed when they became monopolies by the U.S. government. So now it's Facebook's time. P.S. A short note about algorithms. When you talk about the steps a program takes to decide what to do, those steps are called algorithms, not logarithms, which are a certain type of math functions. Manuel, I love saying logarithms. Logarithms. So it's just going to be an official another Toddism. But Manuel, thanks for your comments. And I agree. You know, monopolies have continued to get. We broke up AT&T. We broke up Ma Bell, which ended up breaking out AT&T as a long distance company, and then AT&T. Then, they're a monopoly again. So you break them up and they rebuild them back up. It's crazy. It is. It really is. So I don't think in the current climate that there is the willpower or Facebook has become too big. They have too much power. I would be honest with you. I'm going to put a prediction in place here. They're not going to get it done. They're not going to get Facebook broke up. I don't think it's possible. I think times have changed. I just don't see how they do it. But would it be good for us? Absolutely. Then again, I don't know. I just don't think I don't think they have the willpower to do it. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll see. But I don't know. Personally, I just don't think they'll be able to make it happen. Time will tell for sure. All right. So, Dan is saying here that after Game of Thrones, HBO will lose lots of subs. Did you see, Dan, some of the new advertising that's come out? Oh, Dan said IP vanish. I'm going to have to read down. I can't see all the comments. Yeah, but Nordnet really took a dive. I don't know what their problem is here, but maybe they ran out of money. So anyway, everyone, thanks for being here. Dan, thanks for making comments while we're live tonight. And one more here in the studio. And there's not much left. You guys look behind me. The cabinets are empty. Shipping boxes are here. You guys can see the Home Depot boxes on right or left. My wife came in here and kind of sniffled a little bit about it earlier tonight. She said, "Come here, I need a hug. You're leaving." So just to give you guys a little insider here, my plan is try to be back in Honolulu about once every 2 months, or that's going to be, we're going to have to see if I'm able to maintain that. But it will be for 3-4 days, maybe as much as a maximum of a week, depending on what's going on with my son, and try to come back for special events and that type of stuff. So that's kind of the game plan here. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to be frank. My team is expecting a lot. That I have an incredibly high demand rate at this point throughout the summer for meetings in Denver, Los Angeles, going to Austin, a variety of different locations. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for me to see many of you, and going to new locations. Going to be on the East Coast, obviously a lot, having meetups, be in Columbus. So, from an accessibility standpoint for an audience, I'm going to be definitely higher visibility. Really nose down, doing the grind, and being closer to my team, and being with my team a couple weeks a month. So it really it changes the whole game plan for me, and it's a big step here. So that kind of gives you guys a little more info. We'll talk about it more as time goes on. But it's been my pleasure bringing you a show tonight. Next to the last one here, live. Get some more that are going to be audio only, but it's going to be a little bit different feel, and we'll try to keep the feeling alive. But I appreciate all of you. Hey, be honest with you, I'm not begging. And if you consider becoming an insider, this is a good time to start and support the show as we make this transition. And I hope I can live up to your expectations here in creating great content. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the Ohana. Geeknews@gmail.com is the place. GoDaddy is a sponsor. Geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Appreciate your support. Appreciate your ongoing loyalty to the podcast. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.